Hello everyone, this is Krembo from Emotionless Crypto Trading, and today we're going to discuss about the market, run some technical analysis for Ethereum, and share with you a couple of facts that you need to consider for your trading. Now, market cap 265 billion, 24 hours volume 11 billion, and the BTC dominance is sitting around 43%, which is definitely stable because it used to be 43, 44 over the last few weeks continuously, right? So prices are the same. There's nothing that have changed over the last few days, and it's kind of poor volume, just floating around the same prices with not too much of volatility. That's something to consider, that the market is preparing for something. Now this something needs to be determined based on the technical analysis that we're going to share with you. I'm going to run right here in this video. Before we get started, I'd like to talk about a specific chart that we have here, which is a very popular image. Now, this is basically a normal cycle of a market that represents a bullish and then, of course, a blow-off phase. It's all based on different phases. We've got 4 phases right here representing this specific type of chart. And we do have some information, we do have some statistics that could represent a specific stage of this chart right here. It's a very, very popular image that you can find in Google. If you search something, some sort of charts around Bitcoin or charts, cryptocurrency, you will find this kind of popular ones to get yourself one if you would like to look at it. Right, so something that I wanted to share with you is going to be a data that might be kind of very or not very, but still some sort of connection should be considering the blow-off phase and our current stage. Right, it's clear that we're into the blow-off phase, but we don't know where. We're gonna share with you some data that could help you understand the current situation of the market, right? So another thing that I wanted to say is that the ICOs are not really having volume to find supporters today. At least nowadays, it's kind of more difficult. They need to invest more on the marketing side. They need to be more professional, and they need to have a better product to collect funds compared to December 2017, November, and so on. At the time when the market was very bullish, it was high, it's easier for people to invest in ICOs. Today, when funds are low, people invest less. It's kind of clear. Therefore, ICOs are kind of delaying their preparation and launch, and you would like to see that. I kind of see how they're planning to go more and more over the summer, which is another sort of a way signal that they are believing, or they are predicting, that the summer is going to be way better in volume and growth of the cryptocurrency world, right? So that's another thing that I wanted to mention. And then one more, the news and media, how they're manipulating the market right now. And it's kind of very, very difficult to select and filter the informations as long as you don't verify from multiple sources. If you do verify from multiple sources, you have high chances of getting the truth. If you don't, you're not going to sort out anything. And I've seen that some big crypto websites, some news websites are putting out some informations, and then all the other ones are kind of just copying it, copy pasting in a different way, rewriting the articles. Well, the idea of the articles are the same, right? So in that situation, in that case, you definitely don't want to follow the same sort of a idea of an article, because that's not the way you verify a detail, right? So it's impossible to be well informed today if you're not verifying from multiple sources. Well, those sources need to be totally different, totally different, right? So going towards at the technical side, this is our chart as of right now, 3-hour candlestick. Ethereum paired up with USD, Coinbase 3-hour candlestick, all-time high position right here, $1,420 for Ethereum paired up with the US dollar. That was our all-time high position, which was around 13th of January 2018. Since that, we're in a downtrending environment. Clearly speaking, that's what it is. And this is its line, basically. The resistance line that starts from here is coming down the way. This is the downtrending environment resistance line that's pushing us down the way. So if we're looking a little bit more short term, we're going to see some other details as well over here. We do have the current situation, which is kind of a sideways movement with a clear support line that's keeping our structure, and we're trading above, and we're kind of confirming on it always as soon as we have touched. On the other side, we had a false breakout, which could have scammed people. And it's not like they are scamming you, because these false breakouts are taking advantage of your, should I say, unskilled trading activity. I used to say that we have more false breakouts than confirmed ones. And it's true, because that's what statistics are telling us. Therefore, we have to expect when a breakout happens to have high chances to be false than a confirmed breakout, which kind of continues in the direction it needs to go. Here, in this case, it didn't, right? So it's another false breakout. On the other side, we did have some emotion here. You see this long wick of that body of the candlestick, basically another emotion type of activity, which is based purely and purely on the emotion of people. There's nothing to consider there as valuable data. Going towards the confirmation that happens here, of course, here a false breakout, but then again over here, basically a confirmation that seems to be pretty powerful and active, which is stopping us from growing. On the other side, we did have this higher low from the previous one, which is a bullish signal. A bullish signal in a channel is always welcome, and it's happening no matter in what environment you're in, right? Because the entire big picture environment is downtrending. That doesn't mean we didn't have growth during this period. We did have growth, right? We were going up. For example, here we had a nice channel, an uptrending channel. We're going up basically over here. We had some nice uptrending channels, some over here as well, right? So you do have this kind of periods in a downtrend as well. There's nothing special. It's just normal and natural. That doesn't mean, and we were not sure at that time, we're not knowing this, that we are out of this blowout phase that we're talking about. So here's the big deal. Here's something that I wanted to mention. I'm just gonna scroll out a little bit, zoom out, right? And you will see this green line at the bottom right here. This green line at the bottom. Let me just fix this a little bit. Probably like this. Green line starts from here. And it's our main line, or mean line basically. This one, which is segmented right there on gray, this is the one I'm talking about for our chart basically. So you kind of see we're in a uptrending direction, and that's the way it goes. By the way, it looks like right now it has confirmations, it has false breakouts, confirmations basically, and it's supporting our structure. We did have the breakout down the way here, and now we're kind of below it, right? So we're kind of below this line. If we look at this specific side of this chart, we can see that how we're coming down the way in the blow-up phase below this segmented line, and then trying to come back pretty quickly basically to return to the mean side. And of course, then we're going to have a long sideways movement before entering into a takeoff stage, right? So I kind of see that we're coming down the way, but it's not, so far it's not clearly mentioned how low are we going to go in this phase and then come back basically above our main or mean line, right? So depends on how the market is going to react against our downtrending resistance line of the environment, because you're quite away from it. You're quite far away. You're here right now, 412 here, and the line is basically around 457, right? So you're quite away from it. That doesn't mean you're going to be the same in the future. There's enough chances to touch that line and see how the market is going to react. If we're touching that line, we're breaking out, there's going to be a lot of support enthusiasm from people, and the news will just point it out and people will start buying in, right? So that's just going to be great, because it will give us the pump that's necessary for us to get above the main line we have coming with our structure, with our cryptocurrency cycles growing trend, right? Now, we do have other chances as well, considering this line on how you're drawing it. If you don't want to include these false breakouts, you need to draw this line in another way for people which don't believe in false breakouts. But the way I do the technical analysis is always with false breakouts because they're not confirmed and they do exist. Some people don't recognize them. That's why I just mentioned this thing, right? So 2 things to consider before going towards. You have the resistance line here telling you about this blue line, which I was talking about. It's currently very active. It's pushing us down the way and it's presenting selling pressure. We didn't done any sort of a breakout out of it, and it's right there, right? So that's the first main obstacle that we need to break out. The first roadblock we need to go across. And then we have the downtrending environment resistance line that's been pushing us down the way since the last, let's just measure this. We're going to use a tool to measure this. We are 88 days into this downtrending environment, and that has a extreme line, which is the downtrending environment resistance line right there, that needs to have a breakout. As soon as it has that breakout, enthusiasm is going to be pretty large and people should react on it if the whales are not going to crash the market, because all the sort of way technical analysis kind of goes till if the whales are not going to manipulate and crash the market like they did, for example, over here. Can you see this long red candlestick? In a time frame where we had the breakout, people were enthusiastic about it. They bought into it. There were, into all these big exchanges, large amount of BTC at the same time put into the sell order at specific prices, and those were sold basically quite aggressively. Therefore the selling wall was too big and the market crashed. It's kind of no coincidence appearing in all the big exchanges. Or what do you believe about this? Is it manipulation or not? For all the exchanges to have large selling BTC orders around at the same prices at the same time triggered, creating sort of a way candlestick like this, which is kind of looking like a crash candlestick, which didn't really happen afterwards because the price point below the main line that we're having, which is keeping our structure and it's giving our trend, right? So below this main line, the price point is very good for long-term investors. So it's a good place to buy in. There's a lot of people buying in these days, and that's why we had support at the current support line, which is represented over here. We did have the support. Anything below the green line that I've just mentioned, the main line that we're having, is a good buy-in for the long term. Long term means 5 to 10 years in this situation when you buy in below this mean or main line, which is kind of below it, right? So that's the time, that's something to consider. On the other side, let's take a look at the charts and see if we are realistically there or not. Is something we can't say right now. It's impossible to say right now as soon as we have so many resistances in front of us, which are not really permitting the movement of the market in a direction that would just clear up the water and share with us what's happening as of more information, right? In order to be able to mention that, hey, you're here at the spare area, and you need to come back basically to the mean, you kind of need more data. For example, give me a second, I'm going to share with you. So here's the mean line. You're going parabolic and coming down the way, and you're just going like this, right? And then you're restarting the cycle. Currently, you can be here, you can be here, or you can be here. These are the 3 spots where you could be considering this chart which is based on history and it's pretty realistic. Right, so there are 3 spots where we could be based on the current technical analysis we could have from this chart right here. 3 spots. We need more data in order to determine where we are. That's all we need. Right, so that's kind of all about this video presentation. I'm going to talk about more even in another video where I'm going to share with you the technical analysis for the BTC. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to share your ideas in the comments area. What do you think about the current market? How do you see the future? And what do you think about this current chart, where we are into this phase or not yet? Or how do you see it? Considering that we have the mean line or the main line right here pushing our structure quite aggressively up, and we kind of break down the way below it. But I do consider there is still space for going down the way, as soon as whales a couple of days ago have put in a lot of the selling orders, like I just mentioned a couple of seconds ago. At the same time, same BTC prices, around the same BTC prices, and large selling orders, selling walls. They have put them and they've showed people, hey, we're prepared to sell here. We're prepared to sell here. We're prepared to create the crash. Don't try to break out, because you're not going to succeed. Having thousands of bitcoins into the selling walls ahead of you, quite impossible if you don't have large support, which was not at that time. There was no volume, there was no support, and it's not going that easily like it sounds, right? So that's pretty much all about for now. Hopefully this video is not too complicated, and as I've mentioned, we're not clear yet in what stage we are, this or that, right? Considering the way the technical analysis presents, we could be here, so we could basically just follow down the way Ethereum and touch 330 bucks per token. It's definitely possible and feasible. Nobody says it's not, as long as the environment is still bearish, right? So there is no data that tells we're out of it. Pretty clear. Good. Feel free to share your ideas in the comments area, like, dislike, subscribe to my channel if you enjoy. Do whatever you feel you have to do. Thank you so much, and talk to you soon.